special guest for you tonight. I'd like to introduce...
Welcome to the Monster Shop.
That was lovely.
I did a long note at the end there.
You did, yeah. I'm not. What do you singers call long notes?
Legatos. That's the wrong word.
When I was
legato means smooth.
When I was young in IT, we had a piece of backup software called Legato.
Oh, really?
I hated it. It was awful. I had to go on some training in. Oh God, where was it? Awful place. Anyway, it was awful.
Bognor Regis.
No, it was more boring than that.
Scunthorpe.
It was like it will come to me in a bit. It was one of those places that no one's
Telford.
No one's ever heard of. You have to look it up on a map, and when you get there, it's just like you expect it. It's just awful. And we were taught, we were taught for a week
Western Supermare
by a man who had just got divorced.
Oh,
he was an alcoholic, and he'd just lost his driving license. And we had a week, and it was. You can imagine the state of mind he was in. And we were on his holidays. We were on a week's training course. We were looking to kind of have it large.
Yeah.
And it was.
I have no negative feelings about the places that I just mentioned. By the way.
Oh yeah, you've just.
I might have just offended a lot of people. That was not intentional.
You've just dissed most of the UK in a sweeping thing. There are lots of really crappy places in the UK though.
Yeah.
Which I think there is a. I think that it's part of the UK culture, you know.
Yes.
Because do you remember that thing? What was the mega chippy? Was it Binley mega chippy? And it was awful. It was just this crappy town, crappy chip, not crappy chip, but just do you know what I mean? But then an influencer,
it went viral.
An influencer kind of went and go, "Oh, I've been to the Binley mega chippy. It's mega, you should get down here." And then everyone was like, "Yeah," and then people went and queued to go to the
there were
chippy.
Songs written about it,
and I don't know. That for me, that's very British culture. It's kind of just you know.
Well, it's the same thing. It's like the Boat and McBoatface thing, isn't it? It's all that stuff is just brilliant. That's like
I love it.
Yeah.
We should do it. Yeah, you've only got to go to any seaside town in the summer and bask in British mediocrity. We're brilliant at being not quite as good as the rest, and happy about it.
Yeah. So what we're doing today is the opposite of British mediocrity. We're doing the fantastic Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park.
Is that Yorkshire? Linkin Park.
Linkin Park.
We are
Hybrid Theory.
It is. So as we're recording this, it's Saturday, and it's the anniversary of Chester Bennington's death when he killed himself. And we thought, what should we do? What album? And I don't know. It just feels Hybrid Theory has been on the list of albums to cover since we started, to be honest. And so. It had such an impact on like the musical landscape, that kind of merging of, and it wasn't just nu metal, it wasn't just rap. It was there were decks in there. There's kind of some for the time really kind of cutting edge digital processing and again not just like whacking samples in, but
no, it was a musical choice. It was a part. Yeah.
And then just the way the influence of Linkin Park on modern bands, I think. Bands like I Prevail owe a lot.
Bring Me the Horizon,
And so we thought we would talk about it. I always remember this album, that kind of first hearing it. Do you know what I mean? That I was in a mate's car, and we were going. I used to work in Leicester at the time, and we used to go out for every Friday. We would get out, walk to one of the pubs. We'd go down for lunch. And I remember he'd got this on.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where you just like, I know I need to know what that is.
Yeah.
We need to stop the car so I can write this down. And just the impact of it was like phenomenal.
And it seemed to come from out of nowhere as well, And I think they'd done a lot of work on this in the background. I don't think it was an easy project. I don't think it was an album that came together particularly quickly, and particularly without. I don't know, just they're trying to create, it's almost like creating a new style of music. So they've got nu metal, they've got some rap in there, but they've also got, as you say, this other kind of more electronic music kind of going on. And other than really the Prodigy, who sort of did it the other way, who had big hard hitting EDM, but with some rock bits and some metal bits, what Linkin Park was almost this kind of like it's properly fusion, a proper fusion of the metal at its core, but then also interlaced with all this other stuff as well.
The other influences. I think it's really interesting because there's the corn in there. You can hear really like the metal undertones, very corny. Deftones, I think, as well. You can hear a lot of influences from there. But then Nine Inch Nails and Cypress Hill and that kind of stuff. It was. Whenever I see bands and it's kind of like, oh yeah, we're merging like this genre, and I just think it's going to be crap. and because it usually is, right? It's usually, whenever you see, oh, we're gonna, we're gonna do this, we're gonna, I think, oh, just don't do that.
Yeah.
But occasionally it works, but I think you need like super skilled players and musicians and like the creativity, the artistry, the writing.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about like sticking some rapping over a song. As we would we were just before the show, we were watching the X Factor audition where they did Mysterious Girl. And it's genius. And that's just sticking some rapping over it. And it's very funny, but it's not particularly creative.
But the thing about this record as well isn't that it was, because those bands you just listed there are very cool bands, and they would have been, at school, there would have been a set group of people that listened to those bands that didn't really mix with anybody else. They were their own kind of little subculture within, they were the Grebs or the dweebs or whatever you want to call them. Those were the people that were into that sort of stuff. But Linkin Park was for your mainstream friends. Everyone loved Linkin Park.
It did. It was
it managed to cater, it managed to cater for that crowd. But then also the kind of popular kids, if you like, or the people, the mainstream people.
It's worth looking at that a little bit because the album sales and streaming numbers, because I've started to pull some streaming data in for the show a little bit. So Hybrid Theory sold 27 million copies.
It's unreal.
It's phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
It's been streamed 1.5 billion times.
That would have got about 25 quid.
It would, yeah. That's just about afforded a coffee off that. Meteora sold 16 million copies, 1 billion streams, and then Minutes to Midnight, 7 million and 0.7 billion streams. The reason I think it's interesting is if you look at some of the stuff that influenced them, so Korn sold 14 million, Limp Bizkit, who were massive at the same time. Chocolate Starfish and the hot dog flavored water, 11.5 million.
It's not even comparable. I mean, my perception of those records is they're of a similar stature.
Yeah.
Whereas the Linkin Park record is over twice as much.
And it's to that point that you said that your mainstream friends, they liked Linkin Park. They've probably got a copy of Linkin Park somewhere.
Yes, yeah.
And it was played in nightclubs and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas Korn wasn't.
No.
Do you know what I mean? And Limp Bizkit, I don't know, may have been, but not to the same level. You would go to like proper DJ run clubs and you'd hear Linkin Park in there.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, whatever it was accepted on like both sides of the house. It was your pop fans and your rock fans both got it. I think it's really interesting, the vocal style as well. We'll talk about that vocal style of the band, that kind of harsh vocals and then clean vocals.
Yes.
It was pretty new. It was pretty revolutionary to get that in the same band. There were lots of other bands that had got harsh vocals that had been around for a long time. Kind of the Napalm Deaths and the Carcasses and the Bolt Throwers, and you got a lot of stuff out there that had been doing really harsh, kind of gruff vocals for a long time. But not very often did you get it in the same song.
No,
where you had kind of melodic singing,
almost boy band. I mean, a lot of it. And forgive me for using that term, but it is really commercially viable kind of boy band style vocals on a rock track.
It is, and it's it is. It was, but I think that's kind of one of the things that made like it hit you a little bit.
Yeah.
It had this dynamic of what's going on, even from the beginning of this record. It starts off, it's kind of quite abrasive, and then it's kind of then you get the kind of melody kicking in there, and it takes you on a bit of a journey.
Definitely,
Shall we play a bit of a clip? Oh, there was a couple of interviews from the band I'd love to include. So there's a bit of a clip here of the guys talking. They're very young in this clip.
We each have our own little like quirks that we kind of like. Will lean towards one style of writing, and that may not be the best way. Like he said he may write something that's really like straight ahead, whereas I might write something that's really like what our producer Don would say, poor me. Like I write a lot of stuff that's just like, oh God, I'm so bummed or whatever. But we find a way to put those things that are a little more, hopefully a little more intelligent than like just whatever comes out of your head, and work with them a little bit and come up with something we're really proud of.
I think that's a really good clip to use because you hear about their creative relationship with one another a little bit, and how they both sort of bring ideas to the table, and how they're able to kind of work through, because they're obviously that's the issue with this band a lot. They sound like they're both leaders, and they've got to learn to work together.
I mean that was Mike Shinoda and Chester talking about the, I guess, lyrical ideas and stuff, and how they deal with that kind of stuff. It's not easy when you come up with an idea, and it's not easy to share it in the first instance. Yeah. So like, I've shared stuff with you in the past and thought, oh God, as soon as you share it, you just think, oh, I just shouldn't have shared that. And it's hard because you think, if somebody says it's terrible, I know that I'm going to feel bad about that. Yeah. But then in a creative endeavor, so that's the point of what you're doing. There's a difference, isn't there, between like a band leader who, like, if you look at like Megadeth, where it's like it's Dave Mustaine, it's like Dave's gang, Dave decides what's happening, you're going to play this, it's my band, it says my name above the door, and you're going to do what I say, versus something like Linkin Park where it just isn't, and it's this melting pot of ideas, and they're all kind of going, oh, do you know what, maybe we could do it this way, maybe we could do it that way, and my gut feeling is that's probably what made Linkin Park so special. The ability, the creative insight, but their ability to work together, it's phenomenal.
I went to art school. I went to a school where we basically did a lot of painting, and you'd have to take something that you worked really hard on and put it up in front of a class in front of 30 people, and just let them rip it to shreds. And you'd have to form an opinion of what you did and keep your personal feelings out of it. And that's something that is a big probably something that helped me grow a lot, and that's something that helps us when we write music. You know what I mean? Because like when I come up with a part and I bring it to Chester, I'm like, hey, this is what I'm thinking for these lyrics. Like, is that cool? He's got to be able to say, this is what I like and this is what I don't like, and I have to be able to just take that and say, okay, and he has to do the same thing. Everybody has to do that.
I think that's super interesting as well, because it's about removing the ego from the feedback process. It's really hard when you put blood, sweat and tears into a particular thing that you then show somebody else, and their immediate reaction is, oh, I don't know about that.
The strength of character needed to, and the trust in the people that you have to have trust that they are going to be kind. Otherwise it's going to be crushing a bit, isn't it?
There's two sides to it. The first is how you perceive and receive the information, as in, as an objective bit of feedback, rather than a personal dig at your entire being. But also it's about perhaps the way that you communicate here, and I think Chester talks about this just now.
It can be. I mean, initially, when that kind of issue comes up, initially it can be. But what's really good about working with multiple people who have just as much talent as the other person, it's like I can say that, and then Mike will be able to come back at me and say, well, we can say that, but we can find another way to say it that might come across better, or maybe won't be as definitive and maybe a little bit more vague, because that's what we try to do. We try to make an outline.
And I think the key is communication, isn't it? It really is. It's like knowing how to receive, but also to kind of give.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think but it's not an easy thing. It's not something that I don't know. I think it's very rare to be born with that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think you kind of, like, if I think about where I was 30 years ago, probably, I couldn't take feedback, critical feedback.
Mm.
I took it really personally, and it was just terrible. Either you acknowledged that what I'd done was the best thing ever,
Yeah.
or we weren't going to communicate.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Yeah.
And I think it was fascinating listening to Mike in the first or the second clip there, talking about going to art school.
Yeah.
And I think that is an inherent part of what you learn while you do that, right? You have to share your stuff and then have other people critique you to get better.
It's difficult because effectively you're putting your soul out there. I know that sounds really cheesy, but that's what you're doing. Whenever you create anything, there's a little bit of that vulnerability, that little bit of you putting yourself out there and really not wanting to be hurt. you know? And actually when someone says, it's not very good, mate, that's quite painful to receive that.
It is. I think that leads us really neatly onto Chester's death, right? And I don't think I'd realised. I think I'd read about him suffering from depression and substance abuse, but mostly depression. It was this feeling of not being good enough, and these peaks and troughs, if you like, of doing all right, but not good enough. It was all this kind of not good enough. And that has to come with the territory almost. You like you say, you're bearing your soul a little bit. And having to deal with, within the band, I think that environment was probably pretty good for Chester and pretty supportive. But then you've got everyone going, well, you're crap. You're not my favourite band. I think you're crap. I don't think you can sing. Or what's all that growly about? Do you know what I mean? And then
it's mad though, because where they started was a 27 million record selling album. And it's like, where do you go from there?
Down. That's where you go.
Yeah, exactly. And you just think if your idea of your self-perception is based on those numbers and those levels of success, you've only got to have a bad gig. And I'm sorry to say, I think that may be what happened with Chester, but also with Chris Cornell.
Well, they were really good mates. They were really close. And Chris Cornell famously suffered with virtually identical set of issues of substance abuse and depression.
Usually as a method of self-medication.
I think you're spot on, and I think it is that that thing where you're harder on yourself than any critic can ever be. And I think that kind of eventually is what took Chris Cornell, just that kind of the blackness of depression, and then I think Chester, without his mate, just ended up in in that state where he just couldn't figure out how to get through it. But I think it was there's other things as well that kind of have hit me over the years. So Chester and Chris Cornell, I think because they were quite close together and they were close personally, that really hit me. And then Robin Williams as well, where again really similar kind of this depression taking over and them not being able to see a way forward, when from the outside we view them as just having the most amazing lives and experience and being just these incredible creatives and producing this amazing stuff that we all love. But inside, they were just being crushed and smothered by
themselves.
We're going to play a clip of Chester and Chris Cornell singing together, and I absolutely adore this. I love the bit in this clip where Chris Cornell walks out and you just hear because he's got that voice. They both have such unique voices, but you just hear it and you just think, it just I don't know, just makes you feel, that's.
Turn my mic up louder, I got to say something. Lightweight, step to the side, but we coming. Feel it in your chest, the syllables get pumping. People on the street, they panic and start running. Words on loose leaf, sheet complete coming. I jump in my mind and summon the rhyme I'm dumping. Healing the blind and promise to let the sun in. Sick of the dark ways, we march to the drumming. Jump when they tell us that they want to see jumping. Fuck that, I want to see some fist pumping. Risk something, take back what's yours. Say something that you know they might attack you for. Cause I'm sick of being treated like I had before. Like it's stupid standing for what I'm standing for. Like this war's really just a different brand of war. Like it doesn't cater to rich and abandoned poor. Like they understand you in the back of the jet when you can't put gas in your tank. These fuckers are laughing the your way to the bank, cashing a check, asking you to have compassion, have some respect for a leader so nervous in an obvious way, stuttering and mumbling for 90 news to replay. The rest of the world watching at the end of the day in the living room laughing like, what did he say?
It's just when you listen to it with that context of knowing the history and what happened there, it just makes it tragic but beautiful at the same time.
It is. It's a legacy they leave, I think. It's interesting, the beginning of that. I love the way in the live show they always mix stuff up.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're from different genres, but also from different albums and different decades. That the beginning part of that was talking about George Bush.
Yes. Yeah,
and it was all about that was during the Iraq War. And the lyrics through the records they wrote during that time, I just think are phenomenal. They're the lyricists,
it's almost a commentary, wasn't it? I suppose.
Yeah, but just not like in the clip we heard, they talked about making the lyrics like not that obvious. And I think they tried a really beautiful line where some of it is kind of like so they give you a few bits so you know the context.
Yes.
But then there's a lot of really open, vague lines in there where you can then apply or you come to your conclusion about what it's about.
Nice. Yeah.
And I love that. I think they don't get enough credit for the lyrics on those albums. Shall we talk a little bit about the commercials of the singles?
Yes. Yeah.
So they did 4 singles off this album. So One Step Closer, Crawling, Paper Cut, and In the End.
See, it's In the End was the big one for me. Was that the biggest selling?
Yeah, massively.
Yeah, that was a huge track, that.
Yeah, that was very, very... I think that was the one that switched the pop fans onto it.
Got it. Okay.
Because that one was really melodic, and the growly vocals, there's nothing like too aggressive, and there's nothing too abrasive in there. It's quite a melodic song.
The thing about the style, though, and the genre of, I'm just thinking about it now with Linkin Park, is a lot of what was going on at the time was almost like, it was, I know you spoke about Deftones and Korn and all that sort of stuff, but there was also this sort of a lot of this pop punk stuff going on at the time as well. And that was quite a big scene. And I'm just trying to think that it's actually it's really nicely contrasting, and it's like in the music, there's a really nice contrasting energy to that other stuff, which was quite happy and up sounding.
That's true.
This kind of isn't. This is quite dark sounding, really, isn't it?
Well, you have to imagine the world. So September the 11th happened on that's September the 11th. This album came out on October 24th.
Oh, really? It was that year, was it?
Recorded 99 to 2000. Oh. So they were recording this the year running up to September 11th. And I don't know. You're right. The commentary and the tone of these is quite dark. It's quite like introspective.
Very introspective
in a way. It's quite cool. Anyway, so the singles, I think there's some interesting stuff to talk about on the singles and who played on them and stuff. So first of all, I love the fact that Linkin Park, the writing credit is just Linkin Park.
Yeah, that everyone had a say. Everyone had a part to play.
If you look at like Skid Row or Megadeth, that's not how they work. It's kind of like, I did that bit, I did that bit, and they get the credits for it. I really love that. And I think that says a lot about the band.
Yeah.
The other thing is some of the recordings on the records weren't played by the members of the band. They were session musicians.
See, I didn't know that. That's something that you said earlier before we started recording, and I didn't know that at all.
Well, I kind of knew it happened, but I didn't realize quite how like pervasive it was. So it was dead common to like have
uncredited.
Yeah,
so get them in. They'll do that. Yeah,
you just have a session musician come in and record the bits for the record that you wrote, or because you were busy doing something else.
Yeah.
Or you couldn't get to this, or the studio was in a different state, so you didn't want to travel to do it. But I want to talk to you about where they got to, where these singles got to. So, One Step Closer.
Yeah.
US Billboard 75, UK Singles Chart 24.
Wow. Yep.
Crawling, US Billboard 79, and the UK Singles 16. Right. So the UK is charting much higher than the US. Paper Cut, UK Singles Chart 14. Didn't chart on the US Billboard.
So they were better received by the UK.
But then get this to this one, In the End, which is the melodic, slow, really accessible one, I would say. US Billboard number 2, UK Singles Chart number 8. And I think we're going to play Paper Cut because it's really interesting. This was one of my favourites off the album.
Yeah, it's a bit harder, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it shows that difference in taste at the time.
Yes.
The big, thick, heavy American rock sound was kind of radio-friendly, and they had just massive radio stations in the US that would just pump out these kind of big, like melodic,
was it
friendly rock songs?
The Nickelback kind of era? Was it around then?
Yeah.
Was it that sort of thing?
Yeah, it would have been.
Because that was obviously huge, wasn't it? That and Creed and bands like that. Really
Creed,
big, thick guitars,
but
very, very singy.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah, melodic and very catchy.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, the ones in this list that are not catchy, so Paper Cut, not quite so catchy.
No.
Just turned off the American audience. But let's listen to it because it's brilliant.
Wait, why am I so uptight today? Paranoia is all I got left. I don't know what stressed me first, how the pressure was fed, but I know just what it feels like to have a voice in the back of my head, like a face that I hold inside, face that awakes when I close my eyes, face that I watch every time I lie, face that laughs every time I fall. So I know that when it's time to sink or swim, the face inside is hearing me right underneath my skin. It's like a paranoid looking over my back. It's like a whirlwind inside of my head. It's like I can't stop what I'm hearing within. It's like the face inside is right beneath my skin. I know I've got a face in me, points out all my mistakes to me. You got a face on the inside too. Your paranoia is probably worse. I don't know what set me off first, but I know what I can't stand. Everybody acts at the fact of the matter is I can't add up to what you can, but everybody has a face that they hold inside. Face that awakes when I close my eyes. Face that watches every time they lie. Face that laughs every time they fall. So you know that when it's time to sink or swim, that the face inside is watching you too, right inside your skin. It's like I'm paranoid looking over my back. It's like a whirlwind inside of my head. It's like I can't stop what I'm hearing within. It's like the face inside is right beneath the skin. It's like I'm paranoid looking over my back. It's like a whirlwind inside of my head. It's like I can't stop what I'm hearing within. It's like the face inside is right beneath my skin. The face inside is right beneath the skin. The face inside is right beneath the skin. The face inside is right beneath the skin. The sun goes I feel the light betray me. The sun goes I feel the light betray me. It's like I'm paranoid looking over my back. It's like a whirlwind inside of my head. It's like I can't stop what I'm hearing within. It's like the face inside is right beneath the skin. It's like I'm paranoid looking over my back. It's like a whirlwind inside of my head. It's like I can't stop what I'm hearing within. It's like I can't stop what I'm hearing within. It's like I can't stop what I'm hearing within. It's like the face inside is right beneath my skin.
I liked that a lot. I think one of the things I'd like to talk about is the production of it.
Yes,
And
it's thick.
it is thick. What's fascinating, I think, is that the band got involved quite heavily from the beginning of that. So, like production credits and things like that. We're obviously we had producer. It was done at NRG Recording Studios in California.
Oh wow, NRG.
NRG.
I've got that
Have you?
in my headphones.
Have you?
I've got that studio.
Oh well. There
You know
go.
the
Yeah.
slate thing I've got.
Yeah. Oh,
That's-
yeah,
yeah.
I know.
That's
Well-
NRG.
So it was solid state logic. So your good old SSL
Yeah.
4000.
Yeah.
So it's quite a nice desk they got there. Recorded to Elasis ADAT and then to DigiDesign Pro Tools. So it was all digital.
Yeah.
But to tape, so it was done to DAT tape
Yeah.
and then into Pro Tools. Now, Pro Tools had existed for a while, but I think Linkin Park pushed it further than lots of the other bands at the time were doing. They used a Uri compressor, which again was dead common, and you can see the compression in the waveform. It was pretty slammed.
Yeah.
Not as slammed as today,
No, it wasn't a big chunk of
but still
wave. But
still pretty slammed.
Can I talk about how much I like Pro Tools?
You love it, don't you?
Yeah, because I used to use Logic. I used to use
A year
Luna.
ago, you were all Logic.
Yeah.
and now you don't. I think you would set on fire if you had to touch Logic now.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. It feels
It's all
really.
it's all the keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah, but it is. But it feels like tapey. That's the only way I can describe it. It feels like because the way we process it, the way we go in, we use a little thing called a console.
Yeah.
And it goes through the UAD console, and that comes out into Pro Tools, and I'm
Yeah.
literally using Pro Tools as the editor.
So do you feel like you're editing?
Feels
tape?
more proper. It does though. It feels more proper.
Vocals, microphones. Let's talk about microphones. SM7Bs,
Yeah,
Neumann U87s,
yeah,
standard issue.
yeah.
we've got a new one for this week, which we've
Okay.
not talked about. So we've got Shure SM57s on the guitar amps and a Royer R121.
Royer. Nice.
Drums, AKG D112,
Yeah.
standard issue stuff, and Shure SM57s for
yeah.
the snare.
Yeah. It's a
which
good drum sound.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
The other thing that I think is fascinating is although they had a budget, so that it was funded by
Warner, is it?
it's funded by Warner as the record company. They wanted to keep the recording costs low, so lots of the stuff was recorded in odd places.
Oh, I love that. That's my
So,
favorite.
so the producer was Don Gilmore, but like some of the vocal tracks were recorded in his flat.
I love it. I think, honestly, I can't. I think there's going to be a shift back to this as well. Again, now, like people, like the technology you can get now, you could record a studio standard quality vocal in a hotel room, while you're on tour and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think as AI music becomes a thing and there's more and more artificially generated perfect music, I think that actually the artistry within
imperfect music.
I think it'll be you'll hear real rooms on drums. You'll hear things that perhaps I don't know.
I'm already there.
Yeah.
If I'm honest,
Yeah.
I'm harping back. I'm listening much more to like 80s Napalm Death and Carcass and Bolt Thrower and thrash albums from we did Testament last week. That I'm kind of going back to those pre-Click, pre-Pro Tools kind of stuff. I kind of prefer the sound.
Yeah.
And I think it's because a lot of the modern stuff is just like
It's
you say,
dehumanized.
it's perfect.
Yeah, it's
It
totally
is-
dehumanized.
there's-
It's amazing and perfect and
Yeah.
totally inhuman.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of think it feels a bit computery. It feels like that. And I kind of think I want to hear a missed note. I want to hear a missed beat somewhere. I want to hear the you know what I mean. I kind of want to hear or feel a little bit of that.
There's a song that you won't. It's a song that people don't think about anymore.
Yeah.
But it's a song from the 90s and it's called "One of Us" by Joan Osborne.
Yeah.
The "What if God was one of us." It's quite a
Yeah.
It's quite a popular, fairly
A ditty.
middle of the road kind of
Yeah.
ballady kind of thing. Listen to the production on it. Honestly, it is insane. Like it starts off with this hi-hat, and you can hear the room.
And
the drum thing, you can hear the room, you can hear where it's recorded, you can hear. I don't know. It's just so alive as a production, and that's what I want from music.
See, the thing that I think will naturally happen though is that so music and art in general will move, and humans will move what they find appealing.
Yeah,
and then the AI is just going to copy it.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of where things are going to go.
But it feels like there's going to be a period of sort of reclaiming art, reclaiming music and stuff.
Maybe. I think you are probably correct with that. I think, it's interesting, isn't it? I read about what AI is going to do and which jobs are going to be safe.
Yeah.
So I've told both of my children to be neurosurgeons because apparently it can't do that.
They can't do that yet. No.
So I was going, dudes, just and Leo said, I'm a bit squeamish. Don't worry about that. Just be a neurosurgeon.
You can do the pointed one.
You
tell the others what to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Was it the NHS is watch one, do one, teach one.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
That's how you do brain surgery. So you watch somebody do it, and then you have a go, and then as long as you don't kill the patient, then you show someone else what you did, and then you're done. That's your training complete. You're now, that's the way it goes. Shall we play in the end?
I think we should. I think it's a massive
This is your
tune.
favourite, isn't it?
Yeah, it's such a big song.
And this was the big one in the US. So this is big, it's melodic. The video is a bit weird.
Mm.
In fact, it's really weird. Even for the time, it's weird. It's just odd. It shows you how crappy CGI was actually at the time.
Right. Okay.
It's kind of quite rendered.
Yeah.
And it looks like 90s CGI.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently we did CGI in the late 60s to fake the moon landing.
Amazing.
Said nobody's ever worked with graphics processors. Let's play.
It starts with
One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock takes life away. It's so unreal. Didn't look out below. Watch the time go right out the window. Trying to hold on to didn't even know I wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to be will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to remind myself how I tried so hard. In spite of the way you were mocking me, acting like I was part of your property, remembering all the times you fought with me, I'm surprised it got so. Things aren't the way they were before. You wouldn't even recognize me anymore. Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I've put my trust in you, pushed as far as I can go. For all this, there's only one thing you should know. I've put my trust in you, pushed as far as I can go. For all this, there's only one thing you should know. I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter.
Shall we talk about our Twitter? Because people
Yeah.
can come on our Twitter, can't they?
You can do if you want. Can you just clean up afterwards? Yes, we do. We've embraced X.
Yes.
I'm like, as much as I think Elon Musk's a bit of a bellend, and I quite like it. He's like an 8-year-old billionaire, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I quite like that. I'm a big fan of that. I think that's a good thing. I think there's too many. Too much power is in the hands of committees, and nothing good ever comes out of a committee. It's just, well, it's like, it's just. I love the idea of like just somebody having like billions and being able to randomly, do you know what I mean?
I'm going to buy Twitter.
Yeah, I'm going to have the biggest inflatable in the world and just go and do it. So I'm a big fan of that, but I don't like. He's a bit right wing for me. He's a bit on the don't like anybody that's a bit different to me, and I'm not a big fan of that. And also, I know lots of people that work at SpaceX and a few of these other companies, and apparently he's a bit of a bellend to work for.
Right.
And I don't like that. And also, I don't like the way he dealt with when he bought Twitter.
Yeah,
I had lots of friends who worked at Twitter.
Oh, they got cold.
They all just got canned overnight. And it's obviously his toy, and he can do what he wants with it. So I don't like that.
Yeah.
But as a platform to engage with, it's been dead good. We've had a really good laugh. We've found lots of people that are into the same kind of music, and I think I've read of probably of a similar age.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, it's been mega. We've had a really, really good time. Really, really enjoying our time there. So we post stuff. Obviously, we're not particularly. Neither of us are very political, but we post stuff like albums that have been released on this day in history.
Yeah.
Like rock quotes from people, pictures and things from history in the archives, and stuff that's related to whatever album we've covered that week. So yeah, if you like that kind of I guess era of rock and metal and grunge and punk and all of that stuff, kind of through the 80s and 90s, probably early 2000s. Yeah, join us. We're just search for we're Monster Shop Rock.
Monster Shop Rock.
So just find us on there, give us a follow, and yeah, that'd be super duper. We'd love to see you.
Yeah,
you can have a chat to us.
And you'll do dead well at pub quizzes, because a lot of it is quite pub quizzy, isn't it? Like
it is.
A lot of the
well, it's been. Let me give you a. I'm gonna give you a quick overview. Oh, I'm trying to get onto my phone, and my microphone is in my face. So let me give you a quick overview of some of the wonderful content that we've had in there. So, fun fact: did you know Nirvana's Chris Novoselic?
Well done.
Say it. Once ran for political office in the US.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right, let me get something else here. So also, did you know that today we're talking about Chris Cornell? Did you know that Chris Cornell was born on the 20th of July, which is when we're recording this?
I didn't know that either.
I did not know that. It's just dawned on me that Chris Cornell's birthday and Chester Bennington's death is the same day.
Oh no, that's sad.
It is sad.
Yeah.
What else is here? There's some just awesome. There's a picture of there's a picture of you from when you were about 12. I'm showing Chris a picture of himself when he was about 12 wearing a hat from 2013. That's one of our followers, Lindsay. When you listen to this, Lindsay, thank you for posting that. It was epic. Also, Dillinger's Miss Machine was released in 2004, so it's 20 years old today. What else? There's loads. It's just, honestly, our Twitter's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Fear Factory was released on this day.
Obsolete, wasn't it?
Yeah, Obsolete, 1998. Cowboys from Hell was released today, 34 years ago.
34 years.
Yeah, there's loads of just loads of that stuff.
So there's that. There's the blog as well.
Yeah, we've got if you go to monstershop.uk, you'll find our blog. We typically try and do a blog for like albums that were released on that day in history, and we do one for the show as well.
Yeah.
So there's tons of stuff on there. Yeah. Really similar format and structure to the show itself. So we kind of cover, albums or big iconic albums, and we talk a little bit about who made them, the recording process, and impactful stuff like that. Yeah.
And I think they're the main two places to catch us, aren't they? Because we don't really like Meta anymore. And
we're having a hard time with Meta at the minute, but yeah, they decided that our URL, monstershop.uk, the URL itself breached their community standards, and so that makes life quite difficult for us because that's the name of the show. And we've not been able to speak to anybody there. So I don't know. I'm sure we'll figure it out
at some point. But the zeitgeist is X and the blog.
It is, yeah, and we know lots of people don't like X, and but it's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is what it is.
Would you want to pick another song to play?
Yes, I would like to play. We've had Crawling, read it live, haven't we?
Yeah.
Forgotten.
Oh,
yes.
Go on then, do it. That's an unusual one. And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
From the top to the bottom, on the top I stop. At the core I forgot, in the middle of my thoughts. Taking far from my safety, the picture's there. The memory won't escape me, but why should I care? From the top to the bottom, on the top I stop. At the core I forgot, in the middle of my thoughts. Taking far from my safety, the picture's there. The memory won't escape me, but why should I care? There's a place so dark you can't see the end. Skies cocked back, shotgun which can't defend. The rain then sends dripping, acidic questions forcefully. The power of suggestion, then with the eyes shut, looking through the rust and rotten dust. A small spot of light floods the floor and pours over the rusted world of pretend. And the eyes ease open and it's dark again. From the top to the bottom, on the top I stop. At the core I forgot, in the middle of my thoughts. Taking far from my safety, the picture's there. The memory won't escape me, but why should I care? the memory you'll find me as burning up, the darkness holding me tightly until the sun rises up.
Moving all around, screaming of the ups and downs. Pollution manifested in perpetual sound. The wheels go round and the sunset creeps behind street lamps. Chain link and concrete, a little piece of paper with a picture drawn floats on down the street till the wind is gone. And the memory now is like the picture was then. When the paper's crumpled up, it can't be perfect again.
From the top to the bottom,
Bottom to top I stop.
at the core I've forgotten.
In the middle of my thoughts,
Taking far from my safety,
the picture's there.
the memory won't escape me.
But why should I care?
From the top to the bottom,
Bottom to top I stop.
at the core I've forgotten.
In the middle of my thoughts,
Taking far from my safety,
the picture's there.
the memory won't escape me.
But why should I care?
In the memory you'll find me as burning up, the darkness holding me tightly until the sun rises up.
Now you got me caught in the act, you bring the thought back, telling you that I see it right through you. Now you got me caught in the act, you bring the thought back, telling you that I see it right through you. Now you got me caught in the act, you bring the thought back, telling you that I see it right through you. Now you got me caught in the act, you bring the thought back, telling you that I see it right through you. Now you got me caught in the act, you bring the thought back, telling you that I see it right through you. Now you got me caught in the act, you bring the thought back, telling you that I see it right through you. Now you got me caught in the act, you bring the thought back, telling you that I see it right through you.
In the memory you'll find me as burning up, the darkness holding me tightly until the sun rises up. In the memory